Furies. Furies are among the lowliest and most degenerate forms of warp-spawned life. With twisted humanoid bodies and leathery wings, they drift through the immaterium in packs like scavengers. Unlike most demons, they aren't creations of a specific chaos god. They don't embody a particular emotion or principle. Instead, they emerge from the raw, untamed energy of the warp itself. This makes them truly chaotic in nature and also deeply tormented, existing in a constant state of hunger and agitation. Furies are rarely organized. More often, they stalk battlefields to feed on corpses or follow other demons like carrion birds. But they can be forced into service. When bound by a more powerful demon or a chaos sorcerer, they can be made to fight as vanguards and scouts. And when they're subjugated by a specific chaos god, their appearance and behavior start to shift, becoming more bloodthirsty under Khorne, more sorcerous under Tzeentch, and so on. But even then, their allegiance isn't natural, it's forced. That's worth noting because Chaos Undivided is often used to describe both undivided and unaligned followers. Most demons on this list worship all four gods together as a pantheon, while others are unaligned and worship none, like the Furies we just covered. Daemon Princes. These are former mortals who prove themselves through war, worship, or sheer force of will to earn the favor of the Chaos gods. When a champion proves themselves worthy, the gods reward them with full ascension, transforming them into a Daemon Prince, an immortal being of tremendous power tied to the warp. Most Daemon Princes are aligned to a single god, like Khorne or Nurgle, and their forms and powers reflect that, but not all of them choose one patron. Some walk the path of Chaos Undivided, worshipping all four gods equally or dedicating themselves to chaos as a concept. These undivided princes are rarer, but often more cunning and independent, serving the gods as a whole rather than a single agenda. They retain some memories of who they once were, whether as space marines, psychers, or warlords, but now they command legions of demons and mortals. They often rule over their own domains in the warp, and each one is a living weapon of chaos, combining the ambition of a mortal with their new demonic power. Ruinstorm Daemons. The demons of the Ruinstorm were some of the most terrifying warp entities unleashed during the Horus Heresy. When the Wordbearers and other traitor legions conducted massive warp rituals, especially the devastating one on Calth, they tore reality apart and created a permanent warp storm across the galaxy, the Ruinstorm. This breach didn't just let regular demons through, it birthed new ones. The entities that manifested were strange and unstable, taking on horrific forms that didn't match the aesthetics of the major chaos gods. Some looked like colossal behemoths, others like flesh-stitched horrors or psychic echoes of fear and despair. Their nature was raw and undefined, not bound to any specific god, but rather born from concentrated warp energy. Most of them didn't survive past the end of the heresy. As the Ruinstorm faded, so did many of these abominations. But while they lasted, they were probably the largest host of undivided demons ever created. Samus, one of the most well-known demons in the lore, especially because of his multiple appearances during the Horus Heresy. He was one of the first warp entities to manifest during the Great Crusade, possessing a sergeant of the Luna Wolves and wreaking havoc among their lines. Samus is an ancient demon prince of chaos, and he has a strong tie to the concept of murder. He is also known as the Demon of the Ruinstorm, as he used the Ruinstorm on Calth to manifest himself into real space. He doesn't fight like a traditional demon. He specializes in possession, moving from host to host, often triggered by bloodshed, fear, or warp exposure. While not the most powerful demon physically, he's incredibly hard to destroy and even harder to get rid of permanently, showing up multiple times all the way to the Siege of Terra. Madail. He is another major demon tied to the Ruinstorm, summoned during the Horus Heresy after years of dark rituals. He first manifested on the death world of Pythos, where he led chaos-worshipping Davanites into sacrificing themselves, unleashing a full-scale demonic invasion. After this, Madail took control of the corrupted ship Veritas Ferrum and became known as the Pilgrim, spreading chaos through worlds tied to the Ruinstorm. At one point, he even tried to corrupt Sanguinius and convince him to take over the heresy, believing Horus wasn't worthy. On Davin, Madail trapped the Primarch in a vision where the Emperor offered him control over the Imperium. Sanguinius rejected it, realizing it was a lie, and a fight broke out. Madail and his demons had the upper hand, but the Primarch was eventually saved by the Lion, Guilliman, and the Sanguinor. Madail would go on to appear again during the Siege of Terra, leading demonic forces in service to all the gods as a true champion of Chaos Undivided. Cherubael. Cherubael is one of the most notorious demon hosts in the Inquisition's history, a powerful warp entity bound inside a human host using forbidden rituals. What sets him apart isn't just his strength, but the long and messy connection he has with Inquisitor Gregor Eisenhorn. He was originally summoned by the Inquisitor Quixos, who used him for decades. When Eisenhorn hunted Quixos down, Cherubael was captured and eventually bound again, this time by Eisenhorn himself. And from there, the line between control and corruption started to blur. Cherubael isn't some mindless beast. He's intelligent, manipulative, and surprisingly patient. Even as a prisoner, he constantly tried to influence Eisenhorn, sometimes even helping him, sometimes pushing him closer to damnation. Over time, Eisenhorn came to rely on him more and more, and it's debatable whether he ever truly escaped Cherubael's grasp. As for Chaos Allegiance, Cherubael doesn't show any clear loyalty to a single god. He's a classic example of an independent demon, powerful, ancient, and entirely self-serving. Vashtorr the Archiphane. Vashtorr is one of the newest major demons in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Introduced during the Arcs of Omen storyline, he's a powerful warp entity with no clear allegiance to any one chaos god. Instead, Vashtorr represents the fusion of machine and demon, and his incredible power can justify considering him a minor chaos god. He's the patron of the Dark Mechanicum, working closely with corrupted tech priests and heretics who worship his ability to shape machinery through demonic means. In the Arcs of Omen campaign, Vashtorr allied with Abaddon the Despoiler, building massive war fleets to search for mysterious artifacts known as the Keys. His goal is to unlock the Librarius Demonic, a hidden weapon that could rewrite reality and truly give him a place among the Chaos Gods. Makar. Makar was once a powerful Psyker and Chaos champion of the Wordbearers during the Heresy. He was slain during the Underworld War but endured within the Warp, eventually ascending to become a Demon Prince of Chaos Undivided. Makar's rivalry with the Ultramarines spanned millennia. He fought them across numerous war zones, battling with the most important names of the chapter, including Marneus Calgar himself. His deep hatred for their order and resilience became one of his defining obsessions. The Demon Prince also had a notable confrontation with the Grey Knights. When he rose to power on the planet Acrylum, he drew the attention of the Order, who launched an assault. During the battle, Makar was confronted by Kaldor Drago, the current Supreme Grand Master of the chapter. Drago defeated him in single combat, but Makar managed to curse him in his final moments, forcing Drago to spend most of his life wandering the warp. Drach'nyen. Drach'nyen is no ordinary demon. It's a primordial entity said to be the first human murder-given form. Described as a shadow in the warp before even the Chaos Gods had names, its essence embodies the concept of death itself. The demon has long been obsessed with its goal of killing the Emperor, and eventually confronted him taking the form of that same man that committed the first murder. The Emperor defeated Drach'nyen and forced it to take the shape of a sword, which was then bound to his most loyal custodian. Years later, Abaddon the Despoiler retrieved the sword and claimed it as his primary weapon, known as the Demon Sword Drach'nyen. When unleashed, the sword doesn't just cut, it tears through the soul of its target, unraveling its very existence. Despite being bound, Drach'nyen is intelligent and willful. It has tested Abaddon more than once, especially during their first meeting in the Warp. But over time, Abaddon proved strong enough to wield it without being consumed, and their bond became one of mutual purpose, to unmake the Imperium. Perturabo. Primarch of the Iron Warriors, Perturabo was a master of siegecraft and cold, calculated warfare. During the Heresy, he turned fully against the Imperium, leading brutal campaigns of attrition and fortification-breaking assaults. His loyalty to Horus was never driven by his faith in the Chaos Pantheon, but by bitterness. He felt unrecognized and undervalued, and that resentment turned to hatred. After the Heresy, he retreated into the Eye of Terror, where he eventually ascended to demonhood, becoming a Demon Prince of Chaos Undivided. Even in his ascended form, Perturabo remains a warlord obsessed with logic, order, and destruction. He continues to command the Iron Warriors from the demon world of Medrengard, ruling from an iron fortress forged by his own hand. His forces still specialize in sieges, attrition warfare, and long-range bombardment, mirroring their Primarch's cold precision. Perturabo is the only demon Primarch that can be considered unaligned, as he worships none of the Chaos Gods. Lorgar, the Primarch of the Wordbearers and the first to fall to chaos among his brothers. He saw the Chaos Gods as more worthy of his devotion than the Emperor, and made it his life's mission to spread their worship across the galaxy. It was Lorgar who orchestrated the corruption of Horus and set the heresy in motion. But after the war, he didn't seek more bloodshed. He withdrew into the warp to pursue enlightenment, eventually ascending into his Demon Prince form. Lorgar has remained eerily silent since his ascension. He no longer leads campaigns or appears in real space, but his influence runs deep. Many of the galaxy's worst heresies can be traced back to the doctrines he wrote and the cults he inspired. Be'lakor, also known as the Dark Master, he was the first mortal ever elevated to demonhood by all four Chaos Gods. He is the perfect representation of Chaos Undivided, and as the original Demon Prince, he was granted immense power, but the gods grew wary of his ambition and eventually began stripping it away. Be'lakor was forced to watch as new champions rose to power, and as his jealousy grew, he started sabotaging these other servants of chaos with some good success. His power might be limited, but he's still a master manipulator. In recent times, he has been able to influence and support Abaddon in his campaigns, helping him secure key victories such as the fall of Cadia. It's likely that Be'lakor is secretly plotting against Abaddon, preparing to one day steal his role and power. But the Chaos Gods have long grown accustomed to his betrayals, and it won't be easy for the Dark Master to break free of their grip. Thanks for sticking until the end, and click here if you want to check out another video. See you in the next one.